Hi everyone. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the detailed form filling guidelines for MICAT. Now, MICAT is going to be conducted twice as it has been the case previously. So, the first MICAT is going to happen in December 24 and MICAT 2 will be conducted in Jan 25. I'm going to walk you through the detailed guidelines in terms of how to fill the application form for MICAT 1. For MICAT 2, the process remains more or less the same. So, there is no change that you need to do for MICAT 2. Of course, you'll have to make a separate application for that. So let's first understand how to begin your application process. Now in the description of this video, you're going to find a link and you can begin your registration process from there. So you will see a dashboard like this, a page like this, wherein you just have to enter your name, email address, mobile number and so on, and then you can start the registration process. Now before we get started with the actual registration, there are a couple of things that I wanted to share with all of you. Now regarding MICAT 1, the registration deadline is 22nd November. So make sure that you complete your application prior to that. The test date is 7 December 2024 and the result will be announced after 2 weeks on 28th December. Now in terms of MICAT 2, the deadline for that is going to be 11 Jan 2025 and test date is 25th Jan 2025. Now result is going to be out on 14th Feb. Now, in addition to MICAT, you have to mandatorily take at least one of the 3 tests that are mentioned, which is CAT 24, XAT 25 and GMAT that has been conducted after 23. Now, after receiving the CAT score, the XAT registration number and GMAT score, because at this point of time, of course, you don't have the CAT score, you have CAT registration number. But once the CAT result will be out in December 24, what you can do is prior to Jan 11, you have to update that information. So once you have the CAT score, you just go back to the dashboard and update your information. Similarly for XAT, you just need to have the registration number. You don't have to update your score because as they mentioned, you just have to put the XAT registration number and they will be fetching the information from the XAT authority. And when it comes to the final selection weightage, understand how much of this is going to matter in terms of the test that you have. So CAT, XAT, GMAT is going to account for 35% in the final selection process. MICAT is going to have 25% weight. So when they shortlist candidates, they're looking at, of course, both your CAT, XAT, GMAT performance as well as your MICAT performance. So that is why it is important. And when you look at the decision between MICAT 1 and MICAT 2, should you take both? The answer is very simple. If you are somebody who is very keen on getting into MICA, you should be taking both MICAT 1 and MICAT 2 so that you don't leave anything to chance. You take both of them, try to do well on both of them and then see wherever you have got the better score. Ultimately, that score is something that they will consider for your final admission. So keep that in mind while you begin the registration process. Now let's start the core registration. So on the page that I showed you, again you will find a link in the description and you can start your process from there. There are some of the things that you can go through. So they have given the terms and condition, important dates. The steps for online application have also been provided. And if you already registered, you can always come back and log in through this particular link. So this is how the registration form looks like. So the first thing that they have asked is the salutation. So you have to enter your title. Then you enter the first name, which is mandatory. Then you have the middle name, last name. These two are optional fields. And then you have to enter the mobile number and confirm it. Similarly for email ID, you enter it once and then you confirm it. Once you are done with this, you have to complete the CAPTCHA verification, the declaration process that is there. Just put a tick against I agree and enter the CAPTCHA and you are done. So once you submit this information, you get a confirmation email in your email account. So here you're going to get a mail that says applicant number is this much and this is for reference and all of that. You'll also get an email and SMS. So you have that ready, just keep it with you somewhere and you can use it to re-log in. Now if you are just going to continue, you can do that and fill the rest of the form. So you have to click on go to application. And once you do that, you're going to see a dashboard which looks like this. Now here on the left hand side, these are the 6 tabs that are there. And of course, on each of the tab, there is a lot of information that you need to fill. Now let's start from the personal details. So there are some things that they have given. Now here, there are all the programs that they have mentioned the details of this. Now majority of you who are watching this video, I understand that you are thinking of the PGDM and the PGDM-C program. I'll tell you what is the difference between the two. But since majority is going to consider these two, I'm not going to talk about the first two, which is the fellow program in management, which is equivalent to PhD, and crafting creative communications, which is the CCC program that they have. Now for this, again, there is a separate assessment that happens. You don't have to take MICAT 1 for that, but the application portal is the same. And that is why you'll also see CCC as being one of the tabs on the left hand side. But don't worry about that. If you're thinking of doing your 2-year full-time MBA program or MBA equivalent program, you're basically looking at PGDM and the PGDM C option that is mentioned here. So again, just go through it. We've already covered this, so I'm not going to spend more time. We can straight away jump to the section where we fill the personal details. Now regarding personal details, it's a very simple, straightforward form, nothing much to be done here. You start with date of birth, right? You just have to select that from the calendar that is there. Your age will get auto-calculated. Now after this, choose the gender, nationality, the marital status, name of father, occupation and academic qualification. These are optional fields. You can leave it blank if you want to. Name of mother and guardian is an optional field. So again, very simple, straightforward thing. Once you fill this, you go to correspondence address. Now here the address line 1 is mandatory, 2 and 3 is optional. State, city, pin code is something that you have to enter. And if your permanent address is same as present address, you can simply put a checkbox there, say yes, and then this will get auto-populated. Now once you are done with this, you move to the next part, which is the contact details. Now whatever you started with, right, so whatever number you had given for registration, the mobile number and the email ID, that will be populated here. But you also need to give an alternate email address and alternate mobile number. So it's a mandatory thing. You can always give, let's say for example, your parents' email address and mobile number. If you have another email address and another mobile number, you can always put that as well. Then other details. Now this one question, again, they're asking how did you get to know about MICA? You can, or MICAT, you can decide whatever you want to select. You can always select coaching centers. I was wondering if I select this, I can enter IMS somewhere, but that option is not there. So you just put a tick mark there under coaching centers. Now let's move on to the next part, which is qualification details. So here again, they have made life easy for everybody by giving all the details. So how do you do conversion? If let's say any formula is not given by the university, then what do you do? Clearly mentioned that you have to take aggregate of all subjects mentioned on the mark sheet. So because a lot of times students have this question that in the CAT form I did this, but am I supposed to do the same thing in the other forms as well? Then you have the answer for that, right? So all of the details are mentioned. You can simply glance through this before you start filling the rest of the information. So then we start with 10th academic record, right? So for 10th and 12th, the questions are exactly the same, no difference. So I'll start with the 10th and then you do the same thing for 12th as well. So you start with year of passing, which year you have completed it in, then percentage of marks, the school college name, then the address of school or college, city, pin code and board or the university. Same questions for 12th standard, so nothing much to be done there. You fill the information that is applicable to you. And then we move to the graduation details stage. Now for graduation, you are starting with the first question being, have you completed your bachelor's or not? If you have completed, then these are the questions. Even if you are not completed, you are currently in the final year, you can indicate that by selecting it under the drop down. But the questions are exactly the same. So you have stream, year, percentage of marks, school college name, address, city, pin code and the board. Now if you don't have, of course, all the semesters, if you are still in the final year, whatever you obtained so far, you are supposed to enter that. That is something that they have mentioned in the instructions. And then masters or PG details. So if there's somebody who has completed a post-graduation degree as well, you can enter that. The questions are exactly the same. Okay, so whatever is applicable, you select that for masters or PG. Then if you have done any additional degree, so apart from this, apart from your bachelor's, if you have pursued anything on the side, you can enter that. So do you have any other degree? You can select that. The questions are the same, right? So whatever we saw for graduation and masters, the same set of questions are there for the additional degree as well. If you don't have anything, you can simply leave it blank. The next section is going to be the employment details. So under employment details, you have, the first question is whether you have work experience or you don't have it. If you select this, again, please note that you have to update your work experience till March 31st, 2025. So you have to assume as if you're going to be working till 31st March and then calculate what is going to be the duration. So since I've selected yes, I'm getting that serial number 1 and I can always add more. So if I have more than 1 experiences, I can write there. So I can click on add new row and then I can enter the relevant information. For now, for serial number 1, I can say name of the organization, the designation, so whatever was your official designation there, the nature of work, for example, I was doing accounting or information technology or things like that, period in months, so here you don't have like a start date, end date kind of a thing. So you have to calculate period in months and enter that. Then whatever was your compensation per month, and then the industrial sector, right? So you can mention the sector in which you are working particularly. Okay, so fill all of this. Again, a lot of students have questions on this specifically, but note that this does not have any impact on whether you will get a shortlist or not. So whatever is the closest description of the industry in which you have worked, you can enter that information. Then comes the CAT-ZAT GMAT details section. Now this is one section that you can always come back and edit, right? So you will be able to enter more information here. The first question that they have given is that firstly this should be filled only by people who are applying for the PGDM and the PGDM-C programs, the 2-year full-time MBA equivalent programs that they have. And CCC FPM can simply click on save and next. Now the first thing that you need to do is, using those radio buttons, you have to say whether you are going to apply for a particular test or not. So CAT 24, ZAT 25, GMAT 23 or not. So here you can select yes for all of them. You can select maybe yes for one of them and 2 for no of them, and so on and so forth, right? So you can select whatever is applicable to you. So let's say you're going to take both CAT and ZAT. I'll suggest that you select yes there and yes here as well. So for both CAT and ZAT, you indicate yes. For GMAT, then you can say no, right? So if you're taking both only CAT and GMAT, then you select yes there and there, but no here. That is how you have to fill this. Then under the score details, now currently you won't have scores for CAT and ZAT obviously, but you may have a GMAT score and then you can fill that. But for now, those of you who are planning to apply through your CAT and ZAT score, you can simply select this whenever you get that result, and that is going to be till Jan 11, 2025. So you still have a lot of time to enter this information, but for now you will have to indicate yes there. So indicate yes for CAT 24, yes for ZAT 25, and once the result is out for CAT 24, you can come and fill this particular section. Okay, so the form will still remain editable for that particular part of the entire form. Now for CAT 24 scores, these are the questions that they have asked. Okay, so I'll just take you through this. Firstly, you have to enter your registration number, then the individual scores that you get. So on the scorecard, you have your scaled score versus percentile. So you just mention all of that for each of the sections and for overall. Okay. Then for ZAT 25, as they had mentioned and I covered in the beginning, you just have to enter the registration number. You don't have to submit your score later. They're going to pick it up randomly. So pick it up directly from the ZAT authority, right? So that is why ZAT ID is the only thing that you need to mention. You don't have to do anything else. Then for GMAT, again, a lot of questions. So when did you take it and what were the scores in the individual sections? So all of this information is what you'll have to fill if you're planning to apply with the GMAT score. Now for MICAT 1, this is the next question segment that we have in the entire form. So the question is, do you want to apply for MICAT 1, yes or no? Now if you're going to take MICAT 2, right, you of course going to have separate application for that. But those of you are planning to take MICAT 1, right, you'll have to select yes there and then select the program. Now this is a change that has happened compared to last year. So till last year they used to ask what is going to be your preference. Is it going to be PGDM-C or PGDM? But now they have not asked for preference specifically. So understand this one thing, that you should select both. So there's no question, you should be selecting both PGDM-C and PGDM, because there isn't much of a difference in the way the course is structured for these two. So of course the electives are slightly different, the methodology is a little bit different. PGDM-C was the flagship program earlier, right? So that was the program that they were running for the longest period of time. PGDM is the newly launched program, but again it has been there for quite some time now, I think more than 6-7 years. So that is why don't worry about which program, simply select both the programs. So till last year we used to tell the students that you select both and indicate PGDM-C as the first preference and PGDM as the second preference. But now since they're not asking for preference, that question is out. So you select both PGDM-C and PGDM. Now in terms of choice of centers for MICAT, there are 3 preferences that can be given. So city 1, 2 and 3. And then if you're shortlisted for group exercise and interview where you want to attend it, there are 2 preferences for that. There are very limited preferences for interviews, but for the test city, there are quite a few preferences that are available. Then comes the CCC section. Now this I don't think will be applicable to a lot of people. Very few people must be applying for that. So you can select no in that case, but if you're selecting, if you're planning to apply, you can always select yes there as well. Now regarding payment, so if you've just chosen MICAT 1 and nothing else has been indicated, then your fee total is going to be 2,100 and you can pay it. You can click on I agree and finish it. So once you make the payment, you're going to have a payment attempt section wherein you will get a success message. So it will look something like this, where it will show payment status as S, there will be a green tick there, a payment request time, payment order ID will be there, and the course name, which will be MICAT 1. So this is how the whole thing is going to be. At the end of this, you're going to have the payment attempt success message, that's it. And once you are done with this, basically you've completed your MICAT application. So after this, what of course remains is preparing for the MICAT, and those of you who are IMS students, you already have access to a lot of content which is for ADMATs, right? Whether it is for the other tests that are out there. So if you start going through that, you will be handling those additional things that are asked on the MICAT. Now for MICAT 2, as I mentioned in the beginning, there will be a separate registration window. The process remains more or less exactly the same. So this form filling video, you can also refer to it for the MICAT 2 application process. The questions are going to be more or less exactly the same. So if you're planning to do that, then watch the video a little, you can watch the video again at that point of time. But for now, I would suggest all of you to start your MICAT application process. Use the link which is given in the description and begin your registration process. So I wish all of you all the best. Thank you so much for watching. And if there's anything, if you have any questions, let us know in the comment section. Thank you and all the best.